Leinster have the edge there.
I do want to talk to you a little bit about the Lions, because it feels like a lot of these games over the next couple of weeks are the ones that are going to be last in the coaching ticket's mind when it comes to selection. You know, we think back to Alan Quinlan in particular, who didn't play that much in the Six Nations but ended up performing brilliantly in these couple of weeks around the time and making the squad. Obviously events conspired to prevent him from going on the tour, but there's loads of room for players who are on the fringes to make it at the moment. Any of the Irish lads in particular who are nearly there but not quite? Like, is Conor Murray suddenly back in the conversation again?
I think he's back in the conversation. I think you've got to remember all the guys that have been there and done it for Warren Gatland in the past. So all of those are back in the conversation. I think he'd found himself out of it, but it just shows what one big performance and one commanding performance can do against really good opposition. That will get the attention of any coach. So for those purposes, I completely believe that Conor Murray is in the mix, and also partly because there aren't that many other scrum halves at the very top of their game. Gareth Davis is a very nice player. I like Tomas Williams. I think he's a good player as well. Ben Youngs was really good against France, but then was pretty cold against us. So for all those reasons, I do feel as though Conor Murray's right in the mix. It's kind of difficult to see that you're going to get a bolter in that, a player that hasn't been in the international reckoning or is a peripheral player. Certainly coming from Ireland, I think if you are looking at someone that hasn't had much international rugby of late, that's playing great and is a potential bolter, someone like Sam Simmons kind of springs to mind because of the hard track and and the way and his try scoring, his ability to break the first line. So that is more likely to happen than anyone that jumps to mind from an Irish perspective, being honest.
Is there a scenario where Munster win this game comfortably and Joey Carbery plays really well and they win the following week in Europe, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy looks like he's back to where he could be at his best?
I think it'll be very, very hard for him to find a way in there because he hasn't played internationally since the World Cup, which didn't go great. It's a long time ago. He's got a security and a know-how in what Dan Biggar. This is Warren Gatland has a security in what Dan Biggar provides for him and has done for a number of years at Wales. Johnny Sexton delivered for him in the Lions tour 4 years ago. Likewise, Owen Farrell, between 10 and 12. And then, the bag of tricks of what Finn Russell, if you want to go that route as well. I suppose he's more akin to what Joey Carbery is able to deliver. So I think it's just too much and too big an ask for Joey. I think he would have to have been in the Irish reckoning. I think he would have had to have been pushing Johnny Sexton very hard, and he would have had to deliver some big performances in the Six Nations for him to kind of forge a path for him to be of interest to Warren Gatland. But I think he would have to have extraordinary performances, man of the match performances, kind of all-consuming control, but also individual brilliance. And even still then, I think it'll be difficult for Warren Gatland to pick him because of how little rugby he has played.
Yeah.
The other thing is Warren Gatland's a very, very clear idea. It'd be hard to break into his squad now at this stage. He is, he might have one or two places, but almost everybody else is selected.
Okay, so that's the sense that has always been the case with how he picked his team. Is it like by this stage there was no real bolters?
I'm not just saying him. I think, speaking to Warren or to Clive Woodward, going back 15 years ago, I think, again, by the end of the Six Nations, you have a very good idea as to what your squad is, and maybe you're just looking for one or two players that have struggled for form that you want in your team to give you the encouragement that to go and select them, rather than someone out of nowhere coming, up the inside and managing to deliver towards the end of the season where they weren't in the reckoning. I think they're more difficult to choose than the ones that you have the security and the comfort with, but you just need them to prove themselves a little bit more. And we don't know what's going to come with this, Lions tour. Are we going to get all of the midweek games that were previously suggested? And it's still so up in the air, and that's why he will go back to the tried and tested of those that delivered for him 8 years ago, but more so 4 years ago.
As things stand on the balance of probability, is it more likely that we will have Sexton at 10 and Farrell at 12, all things being equal, and everybody arriving fit at the moment? Would, again, it's kind of a very hypothetical question like the one that was asked to O'Gara a little bit earlier on, but as things stand at the moment.
Well, I think you've got to think that Robbie Henshaw is a starter. So, for me, before the Six Nations, and even though Jonathan Davis hasn't delivered brilliant performance, he's been in a winning Welsh team, and he's not back to the form of Jonathan Davis 3 or 4 years ago, but yet he's always done it for Warren Gatland. You've got to remember that is going to be a key component in the confidence of selection that comes across with Warren Gatland. So for me, if you're obviously just picking on reputation, it's Jonathan Davis +1. But now Robbie Henshaw, because he was on the previous Lions tour and has played brilliantly well, he has to start on pure form. So then where do Farrell and Sexton fit into that? Can you leave Owen Farrell out of a Lions test team? Well, on the basis of some of the form he's shown recently, you can. He's been playing 12 and not playing brilliantly. Conversely, Johnny Sexton's been playing very well, but yet we are all ages. No matter what we are willing to admit to, there will be concerns around, can he handle the physicality of what's coming as a 36-year-old, as he will be then, with big South Africans running at him and trying to knock him over and trying to take him out of the game. So that will come into the reckoning in Warren Gatland as well. I feel as though I would pick Johnny Sexton, but I've always said that. I've always been if in doubt, I know what he delivers for you, and he's tried and tested, and he's playing really well, and he's finishing games. So for me at the moment, it's probably Robbie Henshaw, Jonathan Davis for the security and the know-how at 13, and what he can bring on the hard track, but on the soft ground too, and in the physicality stakes. And then Johnny Sexton just at 10 ahead of Farrell and Bigger, but there's not much between any of them. So if you selected either of the other two, would you throw your toys out of the cot? No, you wouldn't, because you're still going to get great quality.
All right.
That's not even mentioning Finn Russell. Sorry, Finn. But I feel as though Finn Russell might be the same circumstances 4 years ago, where he might just find himself on the outside, because I don't know if Warren Gatland loves a Maverick at 10.
He doesn't seem to, does he?
No, I think look at the players that he's gone for in the past, guys that are able to control games for you, the guys that, he's not looking for out and out winners. He's looking for facilitators to bring in other players. And I think that's what Owen Farrell does. That's what Dan Bigger does. And that's what Johnny Sexton does.
Give us your prediction for the game tomorrow.
I've been very poor on my predictions and going against my teams in recent weeks. I felt as though Scotland might get the edge over Murrayfield. I felt England would get the edge in the Aviva.
So the Leinster fans are saying, make it a holy trinity there, Brian. Go for Munster.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Munster with a couple of point victory, and just because they need to win one soon. They really do. And that appetite and that hunger and that desire counts for so much in our game. But they've got the upside of what they've shown over the course of the season to partner with that desire piece. And I just feel as though it might be there. But do you know what? 2 points just shows us nothing in a game like that. And the impact of the benches will be huge. Will Leinster be able to bring their internationals on with not having to chase a lead down too much? I'm not sure. I feel Munster will start well, and just think they'll have too much maybe tomorrow.
Rugby and Off the Ball is with thanks to Vodafone, official sponsor of the Irish rugby team. Team of us, everyone in. Brian, good stuff. Thanks a million.
Nice one, Ger.
Brian O'Driscoll on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, official sponsors of the Irish rugby team. Team of us, everyone in.